Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Pop Spot Presents. I am your host, Andre Shea. Joining me, as always, my co-host, C and AWS. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Andre. It's going to be a great show.
And this month, we have joining us the nastiest man I know. It's Nasty Nate Nixon. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, boys. A little toasty, a little hot here in Edmonton. It's plus 30 degrees outside, but like I said, I got some AC and 3 different fans blowing on me, so we're making do.
Perfection. So we are here to chat the life and career of Nasty and Nixon. And we're going to start it where we like to is, when did you become a wrestling? What brought you into the world of, how did you become a fan?
So some of my earliest memory of wrestling is when I was around 9 years old. I don't exactly remember how I had an uncle who watched wrestling, and I remember watching it vaguely with him during like 08, 09, Benoit. I was a big Benoit guy. And being from Edmonton, he was the man. He was on the rise. He was friggin' the rabid Wolverine. I was also a comic guy, and I liked Wolverine. So a wrestler called the Wolverine was like the guy to me. And he's from Edmonton. Like, let's go. He won the WrestleMania and WrestleMania 20, which was like 04. And then the following pay-per-view after that, they came to Edmonton for Backlash. And it was like a massive homecoming. Mayor Bill Smith at the time called it Chris Benoit Day. And it was a whole ass thing. So he took me to that. And that was like it for me. That was like no turning back fandom from there, you know?
Locked in.
Yes.
I was at that show. I went to that Backlash. I was sick. I want to say it was like 15 or 6. I think I was like 16 years old.
Yeah.
When I went to that Backlash. Oh my god, I still remember that. That was my first ever live wrestling show. So like it was the first thing I ever gone to.
That's amazing. Same here. I remember the card. Most of the matches I remember, Edge versus Kane, and Edge had the cast at the time.
Yes, the cast was on.
Yeah, Kane was terrifying to me. I still remember because the way the stadium was set up is like, I don't know. Let's pretend, I don't know. You got your rectangle, which is the stadium, and Rogers. It's more of a circle, I guess, not so much a rectangle, a bit more ovular. Yeah. But they had the arena there, so we were on the very far side from the entrance. We were on the opposite side of the entrance watching, and I still remember the heat from Kane's pyro. I never forgot. We'll never forget that. Just like being on the other side of the arena and feeling that and being like, man, how like. He's walking through that. This guy must be a real like demon, you know? Like 9-year-old Nate was so scared of him. And then the legendary Randy Orton, Mick Foley, bro. That's one of the best matches like ever, period, point blank in history. And bro, we were there for it. You know? The rise of Randy Orton. I didn't know Mick Foley. Like again, I was so young that I didn't really like know stuff. Like when I remember the main event, everyone chanting "You screwed Brett" at Sean, and I didn't understand. Like I didn't know. I didn't get the context. I didn't know. You know. And then everyone chanting "asshole" at him, being 9 years old. I remember looking at my uncle and like not sure if I should chant, and him like looking back at me. Go for it, kid. And just started giving Shawn Michaels the assholes, or maybe it was Eric Bischoff. I think it might have been Eric Bischoff because Mick Foley was gonna light Randy Orton on fire, and then Eric Bischoff came out and said, "No, if you do, there's no main event. These people don't get to see Chris Benoit." And being so mad. And then it's so funny to think about pro wrestling in hindsight. Like, boo, you asshole. Let him light him on fire. Let him light the man on fire. Boo, you dick. Let us see a man get lit on fire right now, please.
Let us see a crime.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, I could talk about that day, that show for ages and run. But you guys know it. You guys have seen it. It was absolutely fantastic.
Phenomenal show.
Hooked me ever. It had everything in it. All the drama, the soap opera, hard-hitting action. Benoit having the Canada flag draped over him, something I'll again never forget. I had a shitty disposable camera, and I had like some really crappy picture with him. It was so blurry, you could barely see it. He was like a speck, but you could see the red flag kind of around him. And anyways, it's good stuff, man. Really good.
I made a big sign at school. I actually got credit in my graphic design class. Like I made an Edge sign and put it on I put it on that like plastic poster board and like had it like screen printed onto it. And I got credit in class to make a sign to go to a wrestling show.
That's amazing. Yeah, bro.
When you can I had the sign for years. Yeah, so.
That's awesome. When you can cross pro wrestling into the job in school, man, you know you're doing it right. You know you're doing it right.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Perfectly. So you become you become a wrestling fan in 2004. That in that area, you're gonna become that's like that show probably is what lit the fire, made you have to watch every single week. Right?
So basically, my story is like I watched it then, but then like my parents like they let me go to it, but then they weren't the biggest fans. Like I was into it, and my uncle kind of just bought the tickets without their permission, but they weren't like I don't know what the segment was, but there must have been some segments that they seen and they didn't like me watching it on TV as much. So like I fell out, you know what I mean? And then also like, let's call it what it is. Benoit goes and does what he does, kills himself and his family. And so right there, my parents are like, oh, this guy you idolize and think is sick did that. Yeah, we don't want you doing that, which parents being parents, understandable. They have that opinion, you know? So I fell out of it a lot. I fell out of it heavy until I went back to, right before I went back to Nate. So I went to Nate for TV broadcasting. And a couple months before I went back to that, or like when I was doing, or I think it was just before I started going back, I started working at Moore's selling suits. And yes, really fun job.
I bought clothes. I bought stuff from Moore's before.
You know what? My tenure there ended not great. They promised me some things and it didn't, whatever. But I will say like no free shout outs, but like shop there in a BOGO sale, man, you're getting a good deal. You know what I mean? Don't shop their full price. Get there at a BOGO. You're getting an objectively good deal. But anyways, so working at Moore's, one of the girls there, Nancy, she used to always put wrestling on the TV because she thought the guys were hot. And so I remember it being yes, right? Yeah. And I remember it being right around like Roman and Rollins and the Shield stuff. And it was right around the time when Brock took the axe to the car. Do you remember that Brock Lesnar destroyed it? It was a really rough time. That was a really rough time of WWE. That was when I started getting back into it. And like Roman, Rollins, and then hearing like Roman played for the Elks. So I always had like this like soft spot for Roman despite everything. And so I kind of got back into it then. Then when I was at Nate, like I guess this kind of transitions into how I became a wrestler. Is that cool? If I just get it into
story. Yeah. If it's sweet. What brings you in, we want to know.
Yeah, so it's what all like kind of ties in. So then like that's going on. So I'm at Nate at the same time doing TV broadcasting school. And in the third semester, we do like every week, we do like a weekly news show that aired on CTV2, a secondary network in Canada. Yeah. And so we did Nate News Watch. If you look it up on YouTube, it's pretty cringy, but you can still watch it and it's still there. And what we had to do was, everyone takes turns doing different parts of the TV show. And I obviously, being young, strapping, athletic dude, wanted to be a sports reporter. So when you do the sports segment, you do like, a whole like 5-minute, like, or 7-minute segment talking about the different sports, highlights, stuff like that. But within that, you have to do like a 2 to 3 minute news package, which is called the End Zone Challenge, which is basically you teach the audience how to do something sports related. So like one girl went like on the ice and like she got one of the Ooks players. It was the year the Nate Ooks men's team also went undefeated. So she like got one of the the leading scorer of that team and like taught the audience how to do a proper one-timer, My buddy went to we had a friend who's a professional boxer at the time. We went to his house and taught you how to throw a proper right hook, And then so getting kind of into wrestling was like, I want to do something with wrestling. And so there was these two gentlemen in the semester below me who were both in radio, actually. Shout out to them. Alex Brewer and Jim K. Morrison. They actually told, like, I was asking around and I had heard that they were somehow into wrestling. I think they had worn wrestling t-shirts or something like that. One of them had, so I chatted them up a little bit and I floated the idea to them and they somehow put me in contact with Monster Pro Wrestling. And basically I go there I get in contact with Massive Damage. And basically he says he's doing a mini camp that just so happens to be like the weekend. That was my week of doing the package. Miracle how it worked out, actually. He's doing a mini camp. And so he's like, it's 2 days, 3 hours each day. If you come out and film it, like make a commercial out, like a, minute-long commercial for me that I can use on YouTube, I'll let you do it for free. Hell yeah. I go there, do it. Yeah, I go there, do it. It was so fun. It was some of the most fun I ever had. And I remember them all. Now, in hindsight, I don't know if they were just saying that because carnies and they just wanted to get me in and get my money, or if they were actually being true, but they kept telling me I was so good at it. You're the natural, the natural Nate, the natural Nathan. You're picking this up so good, kid. So I ended up wrestling like a brief, it's on my Instagram. I ended up wrestling like a brief, like 2-minute match against the Irishman, Chris Irishman, after like after like 6 hours of training, and I cut a promo mid-match, and yeah, bro, it was wild times. And then so ever since then, I was in school, had the itch for it, but then I was like, no, I gotta focus on school. Long story short, I dropped out of school, do another job for a while. I dropped out of, oh gosh, this is a lot. Dropped out of school because broadcasting, if you guys don't realize, TV broadcasting at the time is a dead industry. Global news, all of that's dead. So I got out of there early. In hindsight, I should have maybe stayed, done some radio stuff, gotten into podcasting like you guys, because podcasting is where it's at now. Everyone's got a podcast, and frig, if you can get a sponsor or two, man, people will listen. People will crush content. So anyways, I was doing a miserable job at Michael Hill Jewelers where I hated my life. And I just kept thinking about wrestling. And I was like, bro, my life can't be cleaning glass and selling diamonds, you know? So I quit that, started working minimum wage at David's Tea, but it gave me the flexibility to start training. And that was in 2017, and never looked back, bro. Never looked back.
Love it. Because I remember when you showed up in that, because I was going to Monster Pro in that era.
Yeah. Okay.
You show up in that 2017, 2018 era. Yeah. You show up. TY shows up.
Yeah.
Larry shows
TY's
up.
right after me.
Rich came in around 2018. Like, yeah. I remember that era of you guys all showing up.
KD6 came in too at that time.
KD6,
Mitch Clark was right at that time. Yeah. So we had like a whole crop of us at that time that all came in right around the same time. I was first. Actually, Larry might have been first. Larry might have been there just a bit before me. But
he's old.
Ben,
you don't have to give him too much credit.
Yeah. Ref Ben was there also. Got to shout out Ref Ben. Ref Ben was there right around the same time. And yeah, so we were just very lucky to break in with as with a very solid group of guys at the time. And yeah, man, it was a hell of a time back then. I ended up filming, because I filmed the match before I ever did anything. The first match I ever filmed was Chris Parrish versus Jack Pride. And that's the first indie wrestling match I'd ever watched live. I remember sitting there watching these guys and being like, holy shit, these guys are big time. And like Chris Parrish, fantastic, but like Jack Pride, I remember, he's gonna laugh if he sees this. I remember seeing Jack Pride. He was in real good shape at the time. He had the long hair. I remember seeing that guy just be like, that guy's got to be going to the pros. That guy's so sick. And then watching that, and then the other person I thought that about was Sidney Steele. Sidney Steele came out and he was doing they were doing Shark Club, him and Tyler James, and that's who I ended up wrestling my first match ever against. And I remember him just looking at it. He had the headband, they had the boots, the trunks, and I was like, that guy's like, that's a wrestler right there, you know? And then ended up wrestling 3 to 6 months later. And yeah, bro, it's crazy times. Fun to reminisce about those times.
You say that about Sid, and then I know what we all know that he became just like this hardcore, like just gritty hardcore fighter wrestler over the next bunch.
Sorry, Sidney Steele.
Oh, Sidney.
Not Sid.
Oh, I think I thought she said Sid Green. My brain just defaulted.
Yes.
No, Sidney Steele. Worries. Okay, I've seen lots of him, and now he's doing real well down with Sean Martin's brand.
Brother, when I first saw Sid Green, I was like, Jesus Christ, that's a fucking maniac looking motherfucker. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Jesus Christ, that guy looks like a maniac. Holy.
I just couldn't say in my brain. I'm like, I don't remember Sid ever working in Monster, but then I completely flipped my Sidneys.
Trunks and boots. Yeah, or wearing trunks and boots. Can you imagine Sid Green in trunks and boots? I mean, I'm sure he can pull them off, but my God, that'd be a strong departure from his current getup.
Oh, I love Sidney Steele. I know now my brain actually works on who I'm actually talking about. Man, I watched him so many times when he moved over to RCW. I was a big fan of him over there.
Yeah.
Why did I mess that up? Damn it.
Oh, it's all good, man. It happens. It happens. You've been hanging around too many wrestlers. The CTE's rubbing off on you.
Oh, that's
CTE through osmosis.
Yeah, it'll happen, man. It'll happen.
God.
So you do finally get in the ring, and like, what was it like? How was the training experience in the few months you were in those months, like as you were doing the filming? What was the training experience like before you actually got to be part of the actual show?
So it was like, it was fun. You learned a lot, but there was a lot of like, how do I say this here? Like, you were taught how to wrestle a match, and like there was a lot of like one thing that was really good about it was much more like you thought of what you wanted to do and kind of pitched those ideas and whatnot. You know what I mean? I will say that one thing that really made the MPW training special was training with Phil LaFawn, an All Japan Pro Wrestling legend. I think he might be in their Hall of Fame. He's a tag team legend, him and Doug Furness. They were in the WWF for a cup of coffee. Unfortunately, they had a bunch of injuries and things like that kind of stagnated their WWF run. But he was a goddamn All Japan legend. So like early on, we were very lucky to be able to get to spend a lot of time with him. And yeah, man, he taught us so much. And like, again, he was so like mat ground based, whereas Sean was much more, your walk and talk, very character based. So I feel like a lot of us and like the crew we talked about, a lot of us really stand out in the local Alberta scene because we're not only fantastic wrestlers, myself being the best, we're also like really great characters. You know what I mean? Because it was something that was really instilled in us. Whereas at some of the other facilities, it's, more wrestling based, still focused on characters, but we had a very, very, very heavy character focus at Monster Pro, which I mean, you look at the stuff they're doing now, it's still very character is number one, which, helps a lot. And I think a lot of guys on the indies can use a lot more character stuff. You know what I mean? Because like we all do moves, but how it's the character stuff that makes the moves special and different. You know what I mean? So I will say like getting a lot of that character work and then getting that like Phil LaFawn mat training and like overall wrestling, but he was just very mat grappling based. And then also early on, like I know he wasn't a dedicated trainer, but like Mitch Clark, just being around a guy like that who like had UFC stuff, you'd be doing Phil LaFawn stuff or doing other stuff, and he'd be like, well, in UFC or in a shoot fight, it works like this. And so you adapt that, and it's just another way to make yourselves stand out. You know what I mean? You learn how you can actually take guy down. Exactly. You learn how to exactly. Another like this isn't exactly with Monster Pro, but it just makes me think of a time like wrestling Sean. We're getting a little too inside baseball there, but wrestling a guy and going for my buck nasty. And normally how guys try to get out of it, he in the moment hits me with the way of getting out of it that's never been done to me before. And I'm like, holy, wrestling for my life. Still won the match, but oh my God, it scared the hell out of me for a sec. And so, learning new things and yeah, exactly.
I love that. Just like learning something brand new about one of your signature moves in the middle of the match randomly is so awesome.
Getting it taught to you is something on the fly. Yeah, that was the one I'm specifically talking about. That was wrestling Sean Moore from Saskatchewan.
I love him.
He was a guy. I wrestled a series of only 3 matches with him, but he really, because that's one of the most intense in-ring guys you'll ever meet. He's really great guy outside of the ring, but in the ring, there's another level of intensity when that bell goes off. And he really brought that out of me and like taught me. I actually did my first ever like babyface turn against him. Like I had been a heel my entire career until the 3rd match in our series, and I turned babyface against him. And I mean, he was such a son of a bitch that he made me realize, being nasty ain't always the way. But learned a lot of great intensity. Yeah, always learning lots.
Yeah. Again, it's cool to learn. Like you see that style. Again, you get different influences while training. I got to meet and talk to Phil a few times. With BackBreaker in the early days, we were working with Monster Pro, but before you guys came in, we were actually doing some production stuff with them. I helping them with the production, and I got to have a few chats with Phil LaFawn, and I'm just sitting there going, "This dude's a goddamn legend." And it was just like it's the coolest thing to be able to just randomly meet these people in the weirdest way, but then go, "Man, that's a legend right there."
One thing that's so sad with Phil is that like he doesn't think he's as much of a legend as he is. Like if you tell him that, he's so humble and blah, 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 brushes it off. And like even in training times, like it's just like, bro, like you're sick, bro, and I don't know, men need to hear that more often from other men, you know what I mean? So
we need more positive masculinity towards men.
Let your boys know, because everyone could use a bit more.
Oh hell yeah. Okay, so again, it's you move on. You start to you work. You were working with lab guys that came in around that time. KB6, Rich King. You get to work with Parrish, who I've known like that dude. It was actually my first ever interview in professional wrestling was with Chris.
Oh
Parrish.
wow!
The dude has been around, and he was around long before I ever came into it. Was a fan of him and in wrestling. He was around long before that. So. I know you get to work with him a bunch in that time, and like so many guys in that era.
He was my first ever title win. Actually, I won the MPW provincial title against him for the very first time. It was my first ever. I think it was my first ever title win. Yeah, because I think I won that before the Ripper. It was either that or the Ripper. But anyways, he was my first one. I think he was my first ever titles win. And he taught me a lot because he was like at the time he was the best
according
guy
to Cage
I
match
wrestled far and away. Okay, there we go.
According to Cage match, it is.
Thank you. Yes, good stuff. Love Cage match, bro. Get those Cage match numbers up. After I'm still doing this. Get those pump those numbers up, kid. Those are rookie numbers. But Parrish is fantastic. He taught me a lot. Him and I had some personal dumb young man issues and him being stubborn old man issues, personal stuff, but we kissed and made up and it's all good. And he gave me permission to bust out his parachute, and I like to bust that out every now and again in the match. Just an honor to a guy. Just pay a little tribute to a guy who did a lot for the scene and did a lot for myself early coming up.
I'll say I've seen you hit that parachute a few times over these past couple of years, and every time I see it, I go parachute, and I immediately say I usually parachute because I know your relationship there, at least somewhat of the relationship there. So I was like, you're using the parachute, and I'll turn to Adam and go, that's a parachute, and he goes, I know, and it's just like it's one of those ones where it's just
it's such a nice unique move. He's not using it anymore. I feel like it's too good not to use. You know,
it's a good move. It's a great move.
It's a good move. It does some damage. So bust it out where I can.
So I want to talk about guy. So I get. Oh, go ahead.
So I wasn't there at that period of Monster Pro. Have you always been Nasty Nate Nixon, like from the beginning?
So I've been Nasty Nate Nixon from the very beginning. I've had my entrance music from the very beginning. The Sunreal, Everywhere We Go has always been my song. It was between that
in my playlist.
Thank you. I listen to it too much. I try not to be like marking out for myself. I'm like, no, this is just an objectively good song. I'm not just because it's your theme song. I mean, it's extra because it's my theme song, but it was between that and another song, Preach by him. That's also really good, but that one just won out because I don't know. I feel like that's my vibe I try to bring. Who's that there? Hey, everywhere we go. That's how I want people, So that's the vibe I try to bring, what I want people to feel. So yeah, it was that. And then I originally wanted my name to be Nasty Nate Nicholson. That was my original plan, Nate Nicholson. But then Massive Damage actually looked at me and said, it's too fucking long, kid. And I was like, oh. And then he like sits there for a second. He's like, Nixon, do Nasty Nate Nixon. And I was like, okay, sounds good. Because in my head, I was like, Nicholson is what they would chant. He didn't like that. He said Nate Nixon. And you know what? He was right. Old man knew what he was talking about. Rolls off the tongue a lot better. So yeah,
I used to do a lot. Right?
Yes, exactly. I used to do a lot more leopard print and stuff. It's pretty cringy, some of my early photos. But again, when you're starting out, it's so hard because like I came into the business knowing nothing and no one. You know what I mean? So like I didn't know how or where to get gear. You know what I mean? So I did a lot of like looking at a lot of my gear. It was real cringy. I did a lot of like women's tights, I got a pair of Trace knee pads early, which really helped me out. But like I didn't find a proper gear maker until like 2-3 years into my career. I made do with like buying like jean joggers and spray painting them. And like I had a pair of Trace knee pads. I spray painted gold that I made work a lot. So gold was my color for a long time because it was the only knee pads I had. But it was a lot of just like making things work. And then now I'm very lucky to have a girlfriend who does like graphic design for gear. And now there's more gear makers around Alberta and local. And like, it's just more of a business now and easier to find people for, because before it was like, you had to know a seamstress and like, it was just so tough, So always been Nasty Nate. Was a heel for a long, long time. I did the Cat's Meow. I was in the Cat's Meow with Kato for a long time in MPW. And that was a really good time. We were tag champions for a long time, and then he left for RCW, and then I stuck around in MPW for a bit longer, and then eventually left myself. But yeah, bro.
So there's one other guy I want to talk about because the history has spawned into the last bunch of years too. KB6, the guy you kind of. You kind of also both started in that same era, and you had this rivalry then, and the rivalry still exists today, because I've seen it multiple times over the last couple of years of you two just going to war. How did just to have that one little piece that has kind of started from the beginning and still going now? How does that feel to have somebody that it keeps going, and no matter what, it's going to keep going?
So my thing, it's complicated with KB6. I look at KB. So I have 2 younger sisters. I don't have a brother, but I look at KB6 as the younger brother I never had. He's a couple years younger than me. He's dumb and thinks he knows best and thinks he knows every way is right. But in reality, I'm older. I'm smarter. I actually am right and know more about everything than he does in reality. With that being said, we have a lot of chemistry because coming up together, we spent so much time together, not just in the ring, but hanging. That's a guy I spent so much time on the roads with and whatnot. And we have a lot of differing opinions on a lot of things, but sometimes having a lot of those differences can lead to some really great chemistry in the ring. You know what I mean? And some really great matches. And so him and we've tussled all over. Oh God, he's my number one opponent, for matches wrestled. I've wrestled that guy a best of 7 series. I've wrestled that guy in front of no people. I've wrestled that guy in front of hundreds of people. I've wrestled that guy everywhere. So it's just interesting. I kind of look at him as my Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. You know what I mean? We all have that one opponent, it seems, where it's just every time you just you're just destined to do this. Oh, he's the Joker to my Batman. Oh, he would love hearing me say that. He would get so hard hearing me say that right now.
I'm happy you said that.
But specifically the Joker thing, because he's a big comic nerd like myself. He's a bit more of an anime guy and stuff. So it's complicated. Like I said, we have some disagreements and stuff, but you're going to have disagreements with your brothers and people you like and stuff. And you got to sometimes look past that. And, those disagreements is what makes us go stronger with stronger bonds with people and whatnot. And he's something else, that guy. That's what I'm going to end it with. That KB6 is something else in the best and worst ways. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
So with that information you just gave us about being a comic fan, when did you become a comic fan? Because I love lifelong comic book fan myself, and I read all my digital now, sadly. But
so I've been a big Batman guy for ever. I was into the Batman the animated series a lot as a kid. I watched that a lot. I didn't actually and then I had lots of comics, but you didn't have the collected ones when I was younger and stuff. Just lots of random issues and stuff. I remember I had this Batman versus Predator issue that was insane. One of the most, it was violent as hell. So much blood in it. I remember thinking that was sick as hell. And so I was always a big Batman guy. And then when the Arkham Asylum game first came out, brother, I passed that game 9 times. I spent way too much time in that game. And then when that game came out, that was when I started. I regret doing it this way because I wish I had bought physical media, because in hindsight, I spent all this money and have nothing to show for it. But I bought so many comics on my iPhone at the time. On my phone years ago, iBooks. I bought so many comics. I read the entire Nightfall series. I read Court of Owls is my favorite to this day.
Yes.
I read Death of the Family. I have a bunch of them. And I got super into them then. Then I branched out into The Walking Dead, read a bunch of those when the first couple seasons, when it was good and watchable. Then after seasons 3 and 4, it just became unbearable. So I've always been in comics that. And then now that I'm an older with adult money, I've got, more money to buy stuff. So I've bought some Flash ones. I've always been more of a DC guy, but Wolverine's my exception. I've always Wolverine, the 2013 Wolverine movie, I was not in shape when I started. I was fat and 290 at the time. And I watched that movie and I was I want to look like Wolverine. So I grew a beard, started working out and getting in shape. And I still look nothing like Wolverine or Hugh Jackman's physique, but I got a beard. So I look a lot closer. And so that stuff was awesome. I'm so excited for the new game. Yeah, bro.
Oh, Wolverine's I cannot wait for the Wolverine game.
It's going to be gas, bro. It's the reason I bought a PS5. I was on the fence. I had an old shitty Xbox, and I was thinking about updating getting the Xbox One S X series, whatever the hell, or getting a PS5. And then that month they announced Knights of the Old Republic Star Wars was getting remade for PS5. Who knows if that'll actually still happen? but I never played the original.
I pray.
And then they announced Wolverine, and I was like, bro, no doubt. Which is funny because the reason I bought a PS3 way back when was they had a special like Joker pack. You could play as Joker in Arkham Asylum. So I literally bought it. I passed it 3 times on my Xbox, bought a PS3, then bought that and played it on PS3 again. And then, always been a big Batman guy.
God,
always
I
been a big
love
Batman
that
guy.
pack. Just the fact that Joker is just the smuggest asshole killing.
And you could like literally like you do the combos and then he just pulls out his gun and ends the combo capping someone. Like
that game was
Arkham Asylum was so violent and like that game was actually scary, you know? Like that was like the Scarecrow stuff was actually terrifying. Yeah. It was great.
Freaky.
Yeah. So you mentioned it in here, being you were a bigger guy at one point. So what, like, so it's like that your main inspiration to get in shape was just like, I know nowadays I know you work in the supplement world and stuff like that. So what was your life going into getting in shape?
So I'd always been like chunky in school and stuff like that. And like I played lacrosse in junior high, and I loved it and I was really good at it. And then I stopped playing in high school. And then high school, I just never really did anything. I got into smoking weed really bad. And then after high school, like I didn't really go to school or anything. So I spent the next 3 years just like working at Future Shop. I worked at Future Shop for like, I got that job at 15, worked there. So I was like 22, 23 when they eventually shut down. I got a severance package when they got shut down and everything. So when I was 18, so between like 18 finishing high school and like 21, 22, I didn't really do anything. I just like worked full time, made money, but didn't really save anything. And honestly, I just got really, really fat. And then I was just like smoking, eating, unhinged, doing what I wanted. And then I met this guy, Eric Blandon. He started working there and he like went to the gym and was like football guy. We started broing out and hanging really good. And he basically like would go to the gym. And it was a combination of like him inviting me and be like, bro, you should go to the gym. Like he never like said I was fat, but like I was starting to get lots of comments from people when I would go to things and like a lot of like, oh, good to see. What's happened? Oh, you've gained some weight since I seen you last. And like that really like obviously fucking crushes you and gets you. And like I'd always been bigger, but I'd never been like big. And then I was up to like 297. And I remember like I didn't have a car at the time, and I remember driving in Eric's car one day and No Scrubs came on the radio and hanging out the best friend's side of his passenger's ride, trying to holler at me. And I'm like 21 or 22, and I'm like, bro, what the fuck? I can't be hanging out like 297, hanging out the passenger side of my best friend's ride. Like started to like, want to impress girls and stuff like that. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? So he got me going there. And then it was a long up and down journey. I've been as low as so I've lost like in total 100 pounds. Like I went from 297 to like 196 at my lowest, gone back up. Now I'm sitting at around 227. I'm on a cut right now. I like to sit around 215 to 220. So that's kind of where we're at right now. But basically I fell in love with fitness. I work out, 6 days a week now. I work at Popeye Supplements. I'm the sales and training manager. I'm addicted to the magical mystery chemical pills and powders that alter your body and turn you up. You know what I mean? And now I've gone from being like, a fat, and there's nothing wrong with being a fat guy, but like now I consider myself like I manage a supplement store and I'm a professional athlete. You know what I mean? And like I take a lot of pride in being able to say that now. And you can be a professional athlete in other shapes and stuff like that, but like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
100%. No, again, I'm a guy who's struggled with my weight all my life, so I understand. Like, I've had times where I've been doing real well. I've had times where I've fallen off, and right now I'm gonna fall. Yeah. Right now I'm gonna fall off, but I know I'll get back and I'll start to. It's a constant struggle. Even when you're at where you at, it's still always going to be a struggle. It's even like
back in September, I sprained my knee at the Purple City Fest. It was either I gave an attitude adjustment or a power slam. I gave Mars the Specialist both of those in the match. Don't remember which one it is, but it's the first like real knee injury I've had. And it like scared the shit out of me because I thought like I tore my ACL. I was going to wrestle the next day. I woke up, it was swollen. I couldn't bend my knee. I was freaked the hell out. So like I took it real easy. And then I decided in November to like do a bulk. Well, this bulk ended up lasting until like February, and I ended up gaining way more fat than I anticipated. And like, just being real, like this last 6 months, 8 months, I've been doing some of the best shows and best work I've done, but I've been some of the worst shape I've been in. So it's been like really shitty, because I had this whole plan where I was like, I was going to come, I was really mentally, I wanted to come into the Nate LPW show in the best shape of my life, and just like, and again, I've known it's myself. Life happened to myself. I didn't lock in properly. Anxiety with tracking food and stuff. I tracked for so long that the idea of getting back and tracking, I was just like, fuck that. I don't want to. Like, and again, nothing major came of it, but then seeing photos and videos back, I had, you know, between the RCW and LPW, I had 2 big show opportunities, and they don't look bad by any means, but I'm not like standing out great, you know what I mean? 10 out of 10 like we could be. So now we're refocusing, relocking back in, but taking that break, letting life happen a bit has made me like reappreciate locking back in. And now I'm locking back in like, you know, like I have before in the past. But sometimes, bro, life happens and it needs to happen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh yeah. Again,
there needs to be bad with
the
the good. Otherwise, it's not life. That's just all.
Exactly.
Because again, you can't appreciate the good if the bad doesn't happen to you at some point. Because if it's just everything's just good, everything's just like, okay. If everything's just good, good is no longer good. So yeah, like I understand. So back to the wrestling. So again,
yes,
so the pandemic hits. Yeah. And I know pre-pandemic you had started to do some stuff with RCW. The pandemic hit, and I know you came back to. I know RCW for here, at least in the Edmonton area, was in Edmonton and Alberta area, was kind of became your main home. What was the transition like, kind of just moving out of kind of the place where you started to kind of branch off? And then I know you were traveling to other places and things like that. How was that?
So it was a big step. It was pretty scary, because you go from a locker room with people that you're like actively training with to like a locker room of strangers, you know what I mean? And it's like with these guys, like it just felt so much more professional, because we're not like all meeting at the training facility, Tuesdays and Thursdays, you know what I mean? So these are a bunch of guys where it's literally like you're meeting them the day of the show, talking to them for an hour and a half before the show, and going out there and having a match. Whereas at the other place, it was much more, you know the match ahead of time, all month, you're, kind of thinking of it, coming up with ideas and how you want to approach it and stuff like that. Whereas this was so much more the day of. And again, you're seeing these people all the time leading up to it. Whereas RCW, God love it, you might be advertised for a match and you're not going to get that match. You know what I mean? The guy you're wrestling ain't going to be there. And the show might be at 7:30 and you're finding out at 7:15, oh yeah, his car's mucked up. He's not making it tonight. You're in a 4-way now. You know what I mean? And so it was a lot more things like that. Whereas like, I remember hearing stories like that. Like I remember Kato being like, yeah, bro, you got to like practice and be ready to adjust on and learn on the fly, because there's going to be times when you show up and like your opponent's not there or your match changes. I remember because MPW was so structured, being like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, you're just saying that to scare us. And now that's like what it is all the time. You know what I mean? That's just like what it is. But that's how you like that. But that is wrestling. You know what I mean? The MPW was a fantastic like intro to wrestling. Like it's like how a show is supposed to work in an ideal world. But then there's just realities when you're running multiple shows and doing shows where that structure can fall apart. You know what I mean? And you don't get as much of that structure. So MPW was a fantastic structure, learn so much. And then you go out to other places with more freedom, but a little less structure. And you're just, like I said, you go from having all these friends to having strangers, and it's just a whole different approach, and a much different approach of everything and just different environments, but good to branch out in a much more realistic reflection of what the wrestling world actually is,
Yeah.
I can,
Yeah, I see that 100%. So like in that time, because again, like in that 2020, late 2020, early 2020 era, this is where we saw like TY, KB6, Rich, Larry, Mitch, like a lot of those guys come over, make their leave MPW, come to RCW. Like a lot of you kind of just it was almost like a graduation class.
Well, exactly. And it was crazy because it was me and KB6 first. And then for like a year and a half, maybe 2 years, maybe it wasn't that long. It was at least a year. A bunch of the guys stayed at MPW and then slowly came over one by one. So for a long time, it was just myself and KB6 and RCW. And that time is what got us so close together, because we go from being in a locker room full of, you know, people that are all your peers, friends, because you train together all the time, to a locker room of strangers. That guy, like, we were each other's only, like, you know, we were each other's allies at the time. We were each other's only boys who had back history with each other. So we got so tight with each other. And you just spent, and then it was also crazy to think that we were doing like weekly shows during the pandemic. So we were doing like weekly shows in Calgary, which was insane to think. So we were driving weekly to Calgary. So it's just like, you're spending 6 hours a week driving with someone, like, you're going to get tight. You're going to get to know them real well, you know?
Yep.
I remember before Edmonton really opened up, I came back to ring announce in 2020 there, and I got to do we did these shows where it was just guys in the locker room, and then we darkened the entire. Remember darkening the Legion down to like just the ring had light in it, and it was just. I remember Tyrone Ironside would be one of the few people that would actually be in the crowd to make noise, and he was just such a jerk off about it. But then I remember it opening up, and the show is like everybody coming in with the masks on and everything in as we progress through 2020.
Seats, only 50 seats in the area, spread out around the entire arena, socially distanced and stuff like that. And like, but it's crazy to think that we were allowed to do that, bro. Because like nothing else anywhere else, but it's because wrestling falls in this weird gray area where we're not a sport. There's no sports commission, there's no theater authority or anything. So it's just kind of like, well, if it helps the Legion make money, I guess we'll help the veterans make money. Like, so we're just like, yeah, bro, you know, like crazy to think about.
Yeah. And then you have it, like, it was just such a weird time. It was weird because, again, being in the locker room, I was trying to just keep to myself because, again, I didn't, you know, I was still trying to follow the rules as best I could, but I'm like, this is weird. But again,
guys are wrestling, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we're wrestling, and like I was one of the ones who was wearing a mask backstage and doing hand sanitizing. But even I realized the hypocrisy of it when you're doing all that and then you go out there and you take it off and you're sweating all over a guy. Like I would try to wear it because I was trying to sell masks at the time.
Yeah,
I
remember.
Yeah, I would wear mine for as long as I could in the match until it fell off, and then just like, fuck it. But like even so, like bro, crazy time, COVID wrestling, crazy times to think about.
I have a basket somewhere. I think I bought one of your
I'm sure you did. Yeah.
I have ones that I ordered online, like from podcasts I listen to. They're all sitting in a bin somewhere in my house because like there's stuff like as we were throwing everything out, the pandemic stuff you threw out. It was like, I don't know, I kept a lot. It's probably sitting somewhere in some bin somewhere. I was like, I'm just gonna keep these because these are kind of mementos in a way, but like you never know what I'm gonna need one of these again.
Exactly. It's like I have some weights and stuff that I've like thought about selling in dire times. But like, you know what? God forbid the world shuts down again. I'm fucking keeping my weights, keeping my mind occupied, keeping something there.
Yeah, now we're hearing about everybody's getting diarrhea around the world now. It's like, let's be worried about all this again.
We were at Costco and we bought some veggie straws, and we were like, you know what? When you can't eat veggies, when you're scared to eat veggies, go with the veggie straws. They never do me wrong. They never do me wrong.
So you spent like the next couple years working at RCW. I know you traveled around, did some Can-Am, Winnipeg Pro Wrestling. Just pretty much getting like, I know you guys still got to do the shoot job, still got to live real life while trying to travel in those years. How is like just trying to get out, being a regular dude while also trying to travel as much as you could in those post-pandemic era? So how was that trying to get around?
I was pretty lucky with my job, like being a store manager there, where I can like kind of build my schedule, adjust things, build things how I want. You know what I mean? And so I'm lucky to have that like little bit of freedom there and whatnot. And just getting out there and doing more it's something that like I feel like COVID put a big stunt on a lot of that, you know what I mean? Because I had like momentum, and then coming out of it, it's just such a weird time, you know. It was just such a weird time coming out of there. Lots of different things going on. Going to WPW was a fantastic opportunity. I did some Tony Condello shows early too that were something else. The summer Tony Condellos were something else. But and then life happens. You get a little more elevated in the job, becomes a little harder to travel and make the time and stuff like that. But now I'm having I don't know. And then I also went through like a little bit of a dark phase there in like age 29, turning 30. And after turning 30, where I was really like having some dark thoughts about myself, and not like crazy stuff like that, but like, you know what I mean? Just like questioning self-anxieties, questioning wrestling and stuff like that. What am I doing? Where am I going? What's this all for? And then I got into LPW and I really started working with William Taylor. And that just like revitalized me, bro. Totally revitalized me. And like now I've given this like a second wind, and like turning 30. I had a whole thing when I was breaking into the business when I was like 24, where I was like, if I'm still in Edmonton at 29, I fucked up and failed. And I still feel that a lot. I do feel like I needed a little bit more of that gypsy spirit to just like get out there and just do things. You know what I mean? I feel like I could have, you know, approached things a little better and differently, but you know, life happens. You only live once. So anyways, now in my 30s, I'm only 32, so the world's still my oyster, but now really approaching it with like that revitalized and like hunger. You know, I got bitter towards wrestling, and then I took some time, like didn't want to do wrestling, but then I had wrestling taken away from me for a bit. And like when you get it taken away from you, it makes you really, really miss and appreciate it. And now I'm like, you know, being older, 32, I know for wrestlers, that's just like entering your wrestling prime. But it's like, I got to appreciate every opportunity from like 32 to 38 now, and just fucking balls to the wall, give it everything I got. I've learned a lot now, and now I just got to use that and just fucking go. You know what I mean? So that's how we're approaching it. I got 5 shows coming up at the end of this month. First time I've done that many shows back to back to back to back to back to back to back. But like, fuck it, bro. We're going to YOLO. You only live once. Enjoy my youth and athleticism. Go until the body breaks down, because I hear things, you know, listen to podcasts, former athletes talking about, you'll look back at your youth and prime and just you're going to miss that so much. And so I'm really thinking about that, conscious of that now. And just, like I said, trying to appreciate every match, every bump, as much as every bump sucks. You know what I mean? Appreciate the fact that I can take a goddamn bump, you know?
Yeah.
Just give it everything.
Completely understand that. So before we get into LPW, I know you did over like 2023, 2024, you did work with Top Talent Wrestling.
Yes.
And there's one specific match I do want to ask you about. I think it was a Christmas show. It was you in a 4-way, Andy Anderson, Ayla Lawless, and one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, Effie.
He's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. He's a stud. Yeah.
How did it get to work? Like a guy, like having somebody that big coming in, it's just kind of I think might have been one. Like I can't remember if anybody big in RCW. I just can't remember off the top of my head. But I know this is a big one for you, kind of getting a guy who's really, especially at that point in 2023, been GCW champion, like really big on the indies at that point, was literally running his own WrestleMania weekend shows.
Yeah.
Like how'd that feel to be in there with a guy who's kind of at that like that peak heat at that point?
It was such an honor. I don't know the exact details, but something happened and someone canceled and something got pulled out. And so I got added in. Like I wasn't originally on that show. And then they needed someone, you know, someone sick for a last minute change. And I ended up fitting the bill and got in there, and it was against Effie. And like, I love Effie. I think that guy's amazing. I think he's awesome. He inspires a lot of what I do. I think he's like, you know, the positive masculinity and like the idea that like, yeah, he's gay, but he also does death matches and shit. He'll boot you in the face and like beat your ass, and he's muscly and stuff like that, but also wears fishnets and stuff. Like I appreciate that whole his whole shtick so much. That's like, you know what I mean? So getting that honor to wrestle with him, and then also like Andy Anderson, who's like done so much in Puerto Rico and like done a lot for me. I wrestled I think it might have been his like return match from his neck injury at Top Talent. He might have done some smaller matches before, but it was his big Top Talent return from a neck injury. And like, he gave me a lot more than he needed to or was supposed to. And he made me like, let me do a lot more and look a lot better than he really was, like he wasn't supposed to. And so I've always had a real soft spot for him for that. So getting to wrestle him, and then Ava Lawless, I mean, knowing Ava Lawless and what she does and stuff, being in that match, I was just like Ava Lawless is going places and going to do stuff. You know what I mean? So for me, it was just like, I just got to show up, play my best. I remember telling Effie, I'm like, brother, I'm real into like pro pride, like woke, liberal, left, LGBTQIA plus, everything like that. Like, brother, I want to do some gay shit. And he's like, fuck yeah, man. I love it. Let's do some gay shit tonight, brother. And I'm like, hell yeah, bro. So went in doing a big gay, nice kiss spot. I'm the big strong style guy getting mad. He gives me the big smooch on the lips. I turn around all fired up. He hits me with the Rough Rider. It was amazing. And that guy's also been really great. I've done a seminar with him. He's been on a couple of LPW shows. Effie's one of my favorites. Him and I have interacted on social media a bunch. He like check in with each other every now and then. I mean, he's got a lot of people that are way bigger deal than me, but you know what I mean? To have a guy like that actually like follows you on Instagram, likes your stuff, shoots you a message every now and then. It's nice to know that like someone like that is watching, keeps you motivated to keep putting out the best shit possible, knowing that like, people see this stuff. You know what I mean? People of note can see this stuff. So yeah, it's really great. It was an honor. It was a real honor to wrestle him.
And before we talk about LPW, I do have one thing I want to talk about. Earlier we talked about your tributes to Chris Parrish with the parachute. Around this time, 23, 24, another person that you tribute a lot is Vince Austin. And I just wanted to go a bit into your relationship with Vince Austin, and you're now tributing, and every time you break out the old Husker in the wind, as we call it.
Yeah. Vince, I mean, this is gonna be a chunk of time here, but Vince was one of the most special guys I ever knew. He was the Viking Rage, Vince Austin. So he was in his 50s, late 40s when I met him. He was from Newfoundland. He had wrestled. He had been trained by the Moondogs out there. So he had done all sorts of like violent deathmatch, hardcore wrestling. He loved hardcore wrestling. He just loved wrestling. He loved belts. He would always message people pictures of belts, and he loved promos. He would always film promos, and I would always film promos. And so he would see me filming promos, and that's like kind of what started us very early on. And he was, rewind just a little bit. When we first came into RCW, he was nice to us because RCW was there was a lot of different guys in the locker room, and he was like a stranger that was very welcoming and like, anyone gives you shit, boys, let me know. And it's like, I don't know you at all, and you're telling me that. I don't know if he's just being nice or if he like actually means it. Brother, he meant it. He meant it for everyone. He always had something good to say. He'd always listen, and he was so, speaking of intensity, like that Sean Moore intensity, Vince Austin had Viking Rage intensity. When he went out there and that music hit for him, he was bloodthirsty. He had that chain. He was going to fucking roll someone, choke him out by. He was going to snuff pile drive him. He was a madman. It was so real to him, goddammit. And that just inspired so much. And like, man had a complicated history. Man had a bit of a tough past, some family stuff, but he was in his because I met him in the twilight and like towards the end, and like he was really focused on just like trying to be better and make things right, you know what I mean? And like there was times, me being, like I said earlier, the woke lib left I am, where he said some things, I'm like, Vince, that's fucked up, you can't say that. Or he felt bad, or maybe made a comment that my girlfriend was offended by, and it was like, brother, you can't say that. And he was like not shutting down. He was like, why is it offensive? Okay, I'll do better, you know what I mean? And like had my back. Like there's a legendary story. I told it at his funeral. I'll tell it again quick. We were doing a lumberjack strap match. It was I can't remember who was wrestling. I think it was Steve Wild and Matt Hart and someone, I can't remember. But we were on the outside, heels on one side, baby faces on the other. Someone gets thrown out, and one of these guys in the lumberjack strap match, I guess he wasn't a former wrestler. He was like in his 50s, used to wrestle. I don't know. He's not a current wrestler anymore. He, in one of the straps, I guess he might have been drinking, and he accidentally hit me with the strap in the face. It was like, didn't really get me that bad. Like in the moment, I was kind of like, what the hell? But it wasn't anything crazy. Vince thought it was insane and went up to me and like grabs me. And I at first thought I fucked up because he like grabs me and is like, and I'm like, what's going on? And this is like very early in RCW. And he's like, that guy's a fucking mark, Nate. You can't let him hit you like that. You got to go teach him a lesson. And I'm like so green, and it's not the 80s anymore, and people have cell phones. And I'm like, Vince, I'm not just going to go beat the shit out of a guy. And I'm also giving him the benefit of the doubt, thinking that like it's an accident, shit happens. Vince looks at me and is like, I got this. Goes over and starts fucking wailing on the guy. Starts wailing on him. And the guy's daughter is in the crowd, and everyone starts like looking, and you get that like awkward silence. And the guy's daughter is like, oh my God, they're fighting for real. And Vince is just wailing on this guy. And eventually they get separated. The guy gets pulled away to the back. Everyone like kind of like looks, what the fuck? And then they just start going at the strap match again, and it just kind of like awkwardly dissipates. Vince comes back, looks at me, and is like, "Hey, took care of him for you. Told you I would." And I was just like, "Fuck yeah, man! You're my guy. You're my guy." And so ever since then, I wrestled him. We did some tag stuff together. I wrestled him a bunch. He taught me a lot about like sticking up for yourself and like not taking shit from people, like just like how to handle yourself backstage. And he was just a good brother to travel with. And he would, in his old age, he would bust out the whisper in the wind to the outside. And so since his passing, I've carried that on as well. And every time I like to hit a big huss, there's a Viking thing he would do. And man, he was one of the best this scene has ever seen, will ever seen. He was a goddamn legend. He meant so much to so many people. He was such a good guy. It was just really sad seeing him get real broken down at the end there. They ended up donating his brain to CTE research because, like, he knew he had, like, I make jokes about it. We all have a little bit of it as wrestlers, but, like, he was doing headshots and stuff back before we knew, and, like, crazy stuff. And even when we knew the some of the stuff about it, was still doing things. And so, he was such a good guy. I'm gonna miss him. I miss him so much. I think about him all the time. Man, Vince Austin, rest in peace. Hail Odin, Viking Rage.
Still, one of my favorite things about Vince Austin is years ago, I was on a trip to Calgary with him and Styles. I was just riding with them, and there was a guy. I'm not going to say the name. He was training for a bit, but then he ended up disappearing. But Vince didn't like. I don't think he liked him very well. So he kept using his name as a verb and just using his name. Just anything bad, he would just use his name to describe it as what was shitty about whatever situation we were in on that trip. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen because it's not like he was doing. He wouldn't do it to the guy's face. He wasn't like a jerk to do it to his face. And this is to like 2016 Vince. This is like 2016 Vince, and he would just like use the name, but it was in such a way when if something was shitty, he was like, "Oh, that's so." It was just it was. I would laugh so hard at it. Yeah, he was so funny, and like if whatever got on his shit list for the ride, like that was his shit list for the ride. Like, you know what I mean? So if you fucked up, if you not fucked up, but if you did something stupid, and then this is like not as silly, but like something I always remember him saying too is when we drive to small towns, he'd always see falcons. I've never seen a falcon like driving, but he'd always like, "Oh, there's a falcon, Nate. It's a great sign. It's a good omen. We saw a bird of prey. It's a great sign." And I'm like, I believe you, brother. I've never seen a falcon. Maybe I'm not looking in the sky properly, but like the amount of falcons he said he saw, I was just like, fuck yeah, bro. Hell yeah, bro. Bird of prey. It's a great sign. It's a great sign. Hell yeah, man. Huss, huss, huss.
Huss, huss, huss.
Yeah. So, as you transitioned out of, I knew you never transitioned out of RCW because you're still there. I know you still work for them pretty regularly. But you started right at the end of 2024, I remember being at an LPW show, and then bam, there's Nate, and I'm like, what the hell's Nate doing here? Yeah. Like, it just surprised me that you end up on the show, or you get announced for the show. I'm like, what the hell's Nate doing here? And then since then, you've been like almost every show every LPW show I've been to, you're there, and like, what was like coming? I know I do know some of the behind the scenes between promoters and stuff like that.
Yeah. So basically, like getting into
over. Like finally,
so like a couple of years ago, like I said, I'm a loudmouth. I've got a little too much testosterone running through me. So Spencer Love and I had a bit of a stupid falling out that I was in the wrong for. I said some dumb things, just being dumb young bro. He might have been a little, maybe, took things a little more personally than I meant for them to be. Neither one of us was going to apologize, yada, yada, yada. Two strong, individuals. I can enough to admit I was a little bit more in the wrong now, whatever. But, bygones be bygones. It was years ago. Fast forward to right before I joined. That was in November. November was the match I did of 2024. And leading up to that, like I said, I was getting really disillusioned with wrestling, and I wasn't feeling it as much. I just wasn't in a good headspace. I wasn't enjoying things. My girlfriend, who had been wrestling a little bit at the time, had suffered a back injury, and like she wasn't able to wrestle at all. So I just felt bad wrestling because like it sucks going out there and doing this thing that I love, that she wants to do and is the best thing in the world, and she just can't do it because her back is vertebrae fucking disintegrated on her. It's stupid, but it's just like, you know what I mean? So I was really in a weird space. And a lot of those friends that I had worked with, broke in with, were all working for LPW. And because of stupid stuff, I was the odd man out. And one of the guys, Ben, reached out to me and was like, hey, man, like, shit was years ago, bro. Like, if you're interested, like, you should come out, have a chat, see what you think, and, like, you know, see if this is something you'd be interested in. And I was so interested as soon as he brought it up to me because, like, it was a lot of my friends. And I knew that being around a lot of people that I broke in with and liked would only be a good thing. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, getting there, my debut match got to be against TY, who's now the LPW Grand Champ. I'd like to think that, you know, his match against me is part of what catalyst propelled him. You know what I mean? Wrestling the nasty one, learning things from wrestling me. That's a big reason he's champion now. Might owe me a championship match at some point in the future. But yeah, so then ever since I've been in LPW, I showed up, and William Taylor was a guy who I've actually known Will for a long time, since MPW. He actually started photographing, like doing photos of me. And him and I got to be friends through that, just through photography. I paid him some cash here and there because no one else would. And I felt bad. And I'm like, bro, here's some like $20. Thanks for doing what you're doing. And what do you know? It got him to take better photos of me and focus on me more. And he kept coming out and stuff. And then he had kind of wrestled a bit, fucked up his back, kind of been in and out. He wrestled a match or two with Top Talent. But prior to that, I got him a job with me at Popeyes. He was just like, hey, bro, I need a job right now. I didn't know him that well, so I got him a job there. He started working there. We worked a bit together, and he worked at my store, but the way it worked out, he worked Saturdays, and your boy was not going to work Saturdays. So like there was a long time where we like barely talked, but he worked at my store, so we were like friends, but not like we were friends, but not that close. You know what I mean? And then yeah, he had been in LPW, and I'd been in LPW, and we were two single guys just kind of doing things, you know, kind of just floundering, just doing stuff. There's not, you know. Not everyone can be the singles guy getting a push all the time. You know what I mean? And so I remember him he kind of actually asked me about what I thought about being a tag team, and me being a guy who's like, you know, been singles champion multiple times, been a singles champion for 500 days and stuff like that. And being a stupid bro with an ego, I was kind of like, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's going to work for the Nixter, brother. I don't know if I'm a tag team guy. And then, you know, we talked about it a bit more, and just kind of with where things were going, I was like, you know what? Like, there's nothing really on the horizon. This is a thing. Like, this is a good bro I really like, and I'm like hanging out with. Like, fuck it. Let's do it. It's something different I've never done. Let's give it a try. And we ended up working with Rose at the time. And that was kind of what sold me on it, was the angle of like, you two are going to get paired with Rose, and she's going to be the leader. And it's like you two working for her. I really, really like that angle. And so decided to do it. And then fast forward to now, that's my best friend in the world, my friggin' guy right there. Tag team champion, Rose kicked to the curb, Zoe now kicked to the curb. So it's just us two, ride or die. We should be the real ride or die. We're real best friends now. So that's kind of my run. And just like I said, ever since we paired up, I just being around. As I get older, it's more, as you guys get older, it's more important than ever to surround yourself with people who are younger than you. Try not to be the guy turning his nose up at things, thinking things were better back in my day, even though, let's be real, they were better back in my day. But try not to be that guy always turning your nose up at things, and surrounding yourself with like youthful people. And I know a lot of these guys I broke in with, but I'm older than a lot of these people, you know what I mean? And so being around them, you know, and a lot of the new CWS trainees coming up like that, like it's so invigorating. And being around like a MRB, say what you want about him in show, but like as a trainer, that guy is one of the best humans there is in wrestling. So just like when you're surrounded, I take something John Cena said like pretty seriously. You're a direct reflection of the 5 people you surround yourself most with. And like, I'm in a much better spot now with the people I've been surrounding myself with than the people I have surrounded myself with in the past.
That makes a lot of sense. Because again, like the people you have around you most are the ones that are going to influence what you think, how you feel. Those are it's what your attitude toward life is. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. That actually makes a lot of sense.
John Cena knows what he's talking about, man. Brother knows.
He's a thinker.
So so you had this kind of great run this last year and a half with LPW. Again, just recently winning the tag titles with Will Taylor. Again, it's been a great run so far. These past 6 months, I've gotten to be a part of it, which has been really cool because I get to join in with this clandestine shows and getting to announce you on those shows has been a lot of fun. Like that dynamic of working Thursday and Friday. How do you like that? Like that third, like the two back-to-back night shows.
I love it, man. I love it. I want to wrestle as much as possible all the time. You know what I mean? The realest thing has just been like, if we're being real, the setup and teardown system at Rec Room sucks, like with the loaded on Wednesday nights and stuff. So really the only like real adjustment with that has just been like trying to dangle the work schedule and stuff, because it's like you're up late setting up. So sometimes I can't always do setup because I can't dangle like all the days off properly. And it's like, I'm not going to go to like, it's hard to go to work on 4 hours sleep 2 days in a row and stuff like that. But those are very minor things. But the wrestling 2 days in a row it's just all about that prehab and recovery. And as someone who's taken it very seriously his whole career, it's just an extra focus on that. You know what I mean? Making sure I'm doing my stretches, doing my things, you know, hitting the sauna, hitting an ice bath in between. You know what I mean? But I do think they have such a great thing there with like the pre-show, like the CWS pre-show, and then the other. The main show, you know what I mean? And like some of those CWS shows, man, like you're not going to find better entertainment for that $10 ticket price that it is for 2 hours of entertainment. Like we're going to the Elks game on Friday. I know it's professional football versus independent pro wrestling, but like we're spending $80 a ticket, and that's just to get in. For $10, you're going to see some incredible action, some amazing athletes really doing their things. And like the CWS shows, like there's been lots of times where I've had matches that maybe I liked more on the CWS show than I did on the LPW show, because it's almost like more of a freer environment. It's just like go out and like they do a really good job of doing like unique matches and like special things. You know what I mean? They did that gauntlet a couple months ago where everything was like a 5-minute match, like things like that. They did the of Salvation. It's like the blood sport gimmick without the ropes. You know what I mean? Like they do a really good job of. Yeah, and like I've done stipulate.
I think it was Fight for Salvation.
Fight for Salvation. Yes,
something like that. That was before I started ring announcing.
But like they do different stipulations that, like as a wrestler, push me to try and do new things that I've never done before. You know what I mean? And then you're also in an environment with a bunch of people who are like up to the task of doing these things. You know, so it's been so fun. It's been really great. It's just it's been so good. It's so good. They have a really good thing going. Just got to get more people out to those CWS shows, because I'm like, guys, for $10, you are seeing some incredible entertainment. But I get it. It's hard to go to wrestling shows 2 nights in a row. I get it. It's a weeknight, but yeah.
As someone who does go to the CWS show every time, because you know I'm following this guy around, it's a phenomenal show for $10. Actually, amazing value.
Yeah, and like you get the seats are just more open. Like I said, there have been some pop-off ones there. There tends to be a lot more kids on those ones as well. There's been some good ones. It's really, really great. The 2 nights in a row. I think LPW, Love Pro Wrestling, has a really great thing going right now. Not just right now. I think they've got a great thing going in like always in general. But I think that 2 show, just getting 2 bookings is nice. You know what I mean? Getting 2 shows in there is just nice. I just want to wrestle more, so I'll take any opportunity I can.
I love that. Yeah,
it's great. So we're in the present now. You know, tag team champion, LPW tag team champion with your boy Will Taylor, the Mad Lads.
Yes, sir.
We haven't seen what is up next for Nate and Will coming up this month, but I know you've been having a lot of problems with 3 people in particular, 2 short people and their friend Jax.
Yes.
Is there? I know there's been a lot of concern about Mars's injury, then Reed's injury, and
so
everyone is wanting to point the fingers at you guys. Is there anything you want to say about that?
I mean, that's the easy money, is to point at the Mad Lads, right? And like that is very Mad Lad behavior. But like, I'll just say just like stay tuned. You know what I mean? Like just stay tuned because Jax, the Short Kings, Jax Wilder, the Short Kings. We're not too concerned with Mars and Thickness anymore. We beat Thickness. Mars decides to go and let someone get injured him. He's so tough, not dead ever. Well, you were sure dead enough that you couldn't come to the biggest show in LPW's history, bro. So maybe you shouldn't have been dead for that, pal. So like, hey man, you focus on recovering and coming back to life, my guy. And as far as Jax Wilder goes, Jax Wilder's an interesting character. I think that guy has really stepped his shit up to another level these last couple months, and I know that that's because of us. So part of me is like, I'm low-key getting a bit impressed by Jax Wilder, honestly, because like some of this aggression, some of this stuff he's coming out with, I'm like, my guy, if we just molded you, had you turn this into a little Mad Tings thing, I mean, maybe, but then again, he is really, his Lemmy look and his, that hair would never work as a Mad Lad, so I instantly take all that back. But I mean, a guy with that skullet ain't stepping foot in a Mad Lad's jacket ever. So maybe we'll see maybe we can get that skullet off him, and then we can think about it. So I'm getting a little excited and ahead of myself here. But as far as what those three got going on, I don't know. All I know is at the last show, I had MRB whip a calculator at me and Steven swing a kendo stick at me. So I'm not too happy about that. I've never had a calculator thrown at me, and I've never had a giant calculator thrown at me before. So that was pretty scary. I don't think we deserved it. So I know MRB's in a match, but that ride or die is available. I mean,
stay tuned. Yeah.
But I don't make the decisions. I just show up and kick ass. So whatever they give me, Mad Lad's going to do mad things, show up and just knock it out of the park like we always do.
Hell yeah.
Perfect. I gotta give some props to your Instagram, because
thank you.
It's one of my favorite things to see on a daily basis at Nate and XN. Because I love watching your morning videos of you picking out your energy drink for the day, and every time I want some Blue Moon, there's a little appearance by your tag team partner, little tag team partner action going. You each pick a drink, and I absolutely love it, because again, and you talk about you were always cutting promos, and that's what got you there, and you still do that, and I think that's something that a lot of people have lost in the world, that anybody can just pull up their phone, set it up, and take a video.
We're in this weird age where like we have like Ben Bishop, Richard Holiday, Vet Jack Vaughn. Those are like the three big social, and Tommy Invincible, the four horsemen of social media for independent pro wrestlers. And I was lucky enough to wrestle with and meet Richard Holiday at the RCW Nate show. And I chatted with him very briefly about social media. And he said, he said something that really stuck with me, where he's like, a lot of guys only want to get over on the weekend. And so they want to do the shows, maybe post a clip on the weekend, but it's posting those clips 3, 4, 5 days a week, like getting a social media plan. That's like, again, I'm not sitting here wrestling on all these different shows that other guys aren't doing, but like, I sell a lot of merch. I make great connections with people. People know me when I go places. I run into people all the time. I have fans coming up saying they like the stuff and stuff like that. And eventually that's going to break through into getting more bookings across the country and stuff like that. It's going to. And so it's just like keeping up with that consistency. And like a lot of guys only want to get over on the weekend, like Richard Holiday said, but it's like, just post content. We have these things that the right clip can be seen by millions of people. Why aren't you posting? I see local guys all the time. They post clips on their stories that'll see at most 200 people. And I message them and I always say, post this as a reel. They never do. But I'm like, guys, like, your story is going to see max 200 people. A reel at minimum, a shitty reel is going to see like 400 views. That's double what your story did. You know what I mean? Yep. So it's like, post content. Let's create content. Because at the end of the day, me putting content with other guys is going to get them out there. If other guys post content with me, that's going to get me and them out there. So let's elevate everything and create content. And like, perception is reality. If we're treating every show like a big deal, creating content, creating promos for it, it's a big deal. I got to go see this. Look at all these videos for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because again, I see very few. There's not a lot of guys. Like, you're one of them. I know Kamikaze is another one who is. Yeah. He is constant, like daily. He has stories, but then he also has He's always filling his Reels page up, and like that. Like you and him, I think, are two of the best examples of, especially on an independent level, to really try to push the game. And I really respect that because, again, like your morning stories are my favorite thing out of all of it because I just love what energy drink am I drinking today? I love that. But again, I just see it constantly.
That's what it's about. Yeah, and that's what it's about, is like finding a thing, finding your pillars of content. What are things people want to tune in for? I'm very lucky to work in a supplement store. So like for me, it's the energy drinks thing. Yeah, I'm drinking a lot of energy drinks and I like them, but it's literally what you're saying right now. People like it, people tune in for it. You know what I mean? So exactly. It's like finding your things that people like and stuff. And then even if like, God forbid I break my fucking knee tomorrow, well, I've got other avenues I can do to create content to possibly look at monetizing and things like that. You know what I mean? Just because I'm not wrestling, maybe I get injured and I can't wrestle for 6 months, but I'm still creating other content that's doing well and people are still coming to my website, buying shirts, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like there's so many avenues, and I get it's not for everyone, but at the same time, we're in wrestling, which to me, wrestling is show business. So like, why aren't you doing the things, you know what I mean? But to each they own. Again, I'm not indie superstar yet, you know what I mean? But I'm trying, I'm doing the things, and eventually it's going to break through. You know, we have these, I just mentioned Jack Vaughn, Ben Bishop. We all know these guys. We all watch their clips. They post consistently. They do clever, creative things, but it's posting consistency. And now they're no names that we just talk about. You know what I mean?
Yep. 100%. Yeah, no, and it's something you said there really speaks to it. It's not for everyone. Yeah, you post such varied stuff, like the energy drinks. There's the glizzy thing. There's your pre-lift juice boxes, and then all of your workout clips. You post all of these things on top of your wrestling. There's so much varied content there that you're not going to have something that everyone is going to want to watch, but you have a bunch of different types of things that someone might get hooked on.
I'm not going to have something for everyone, but you have something for anyone is kind of the idea. You know what I mean? And like with Nasty Nate's a character that like you're tuning into to see how he's going about things. You know what I mean? How is Nasty Nate interacting on his bike ride today? How is Nasty Nate? What's he eating at the fair he's at? And how's he being loud and obnoxious? You know what I mean? I used to take so much inspiration from Conor McGregor, but now he's a POS rapist, everything like that. So it sucks a lot. But a lot of what I took from him was like being that guy without concern. Everyone wants to be that guy who lives without concern. So project that on your social media. And like, I don't have a private Nathan Spence one. I have like just Nate Nixon because like I blend the two together well, but I do a good job of like people want to see both. You know what I mean? So anyways, I'm not trying to just glaze myself here. Sorry. But
glaze.
But it's just
glaze.
This is the show for glazing.
Like, but it's just like putting effort into these things, and like it gets noticed by people. Some guys will try to chirp and make comments like, "Oh, you're posting so much. You really think everyone wants to see?" I mean, hey, brother, I'm getting 220 plus views on that, 10 likes on that. I'm posting reels that are getting seen by 2,000 people. Yeah, well, Richard Holiday's getting seen by 80,000 people. Cool, bro. If I had 2,000 people in the room right now looking at that video, that's incredible. And eventually, I keep doing this consistently, I'll get videos like that. And I've had videos like that, but like not everyone's going to be like that. So it's like figuring out your niche. I'm still figuring things out. And one of the tips he gave me was like, figure out a thing. He does the signature move. Everyone tunes in for his signature move, finding out your thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, got the glizzy, got that. One thing I'm starting to do, boys, is the pre-show and mid-show. I'm going to start doing those transitions. I did one of Nate where it was like, the crowd, no crowd before, the crowd after.
The one, you mean the one from the Nate show where you push it and then you pull out and you've got the blood. I love that.
That's what I'm gonna start doing at like all the shows now, because it takes like 10 seconds to film, but it's something I can do at every show. Richard Holiday does those. The guy comes in, high fives him, and he pulls him in and is like, "Hey man, I noticed you didn't like or repost my reel, you son of a bitch." Side note, I filmed his Edmonton one, which was pretty cool for me, being a big Richard Holiday guy. I was pretty pumped about that. And I got to chat him up a bunch and stuff like that. But it was just like, it's just like watching people who are more successful than you and copying what they do, or like, you know, making it your own, because what he's doing is successful. So I'm going to mimic that, just like with my wrestling. I love Tommaso Ciampa, Kenny Omega, Tomohiro Ishii. I've copied a combination of their moves and kind of worked them all together and molded them into all the things I like to do and what I do. You know what I mean? But it's like you watch your favorites and emulate them, you know?
Yeah. And before we kind of wrap it up here, I want to there's one more social media Instagram I think we need to shout out here, because I think she does amazing work. and doing up people's gear because again she's constantly posting up all the different gears she's building, and that's Quinn Hawksley. Your she at Quinn _Hawk. Again, I've seen up close a bunch of people's gear that she's. I know she just recently did Mars. Will Taylor's gear that he's rocking now. Your Wolverine gear is one of my favorite
Wolverine
gears.
Gear is so good.
Yes, that's my favorite set. Yeah, so she like I said, she was wrestling for a little bit, but unfortunately she suffered a back injury, so she's had to step away from actually wrestling. But she's might be more passionate about wrestling than I am. She's the one who's like, hey, let's turn on Dynamite tonight lots when I'm like not thinking about it. So I love her and give her so much credit for that. But she's also one of the most creative and smartest people I've ever met. She is so creative. Her mom was an artist and she inherited it as well, but she like is super into drag and design. So she like gets it, knows how things work. And like, she's also a woman. So she's got that brain that's different than us dudes where like, we want to put on a bunch of stuff on the gear. And she's like, no, take one thing off, simplify it up. You know what I mean? But at the same time, she takes what you say and like spits out a really great design for you. You know what I mean? And like, it's fantastic because you tell her what you want, you spit a bunch of ideas, and she comes out and like works with you the whole process, comes out with stuff. And like I've dealt with some other designers where it was like a lot more pulling teeth and a lot more like, I don't know, they were like mad at me for reaching out at them low key. And I'm like, oh, sorry, like I don't know how this works and stuff. And so and then her like me, I don't like contribute that much, but there's times where she asks me, and me being a wrestler and knowing things I know, I'm like, well, maybe I think this looking at it. So I get to like kind of contribute and also get a behind the scenes sneak peek at everyone's gear as they're all coming out. And so, to give her a shout out, she's done like William Taylor's, both his England sets, his other set. She's done all my stuff. She's done T.Y. Jackson, LPW Grand Champions.
His brand new championship gear too.
Yes, his championship winning set. She's done 2 or 3 for Zoe Sager, 2 for Zoe Sager. Who's
just did
Christian's signed.
She did Christian's recent rainbow gear.
Did Nick Shostastik's gear, Christian's gear. She's done so many locally.
The level up that she gave Nick Shostastik in look and style, I think was absolutely tremendous. Because when he debuted that new gear, because I remember being at the Thursday night show. And him just in his old gear, look good. And then him showing up on Friday, I'm like, oh, that is what we need. That's what he needed to kind of take that next step for himself with that gear.
She gets it. And it's funny because I'll see her making her like, I don't know, like her creative board where she's like, it's kind of like she does like a collage where she's putting ideas together and stuff. And for like Nick Shostastik, it was like RuPaul and then like runway stuff and like random things like that and then patterns and stuff. And then like, just seeing like the creative process of everything. And then it's also funny seeing like the different people, what they tell her. So like someone like Zoe, for example, who's a very smart, creative woman, is like, I want it like this. I want it shaped like this. I want a racer back. I want it this way, this way, this way, this way. And she's like, yes, okay. And you get some of us dumb dudes who message her and are like, I want it to be red and I want to look like Seth Rollins. And she's like, okay, we all want to look like Seth Rollins, bro. I need a little more detail than that, okay? Like, so it's fun just seeing that and being a part of that with everyone and stuff. But I really appreciate the shout out. She appreciates the shout out. Does great work.
Yeah, great work. She deserves the shout out.
And I guess just one thing to clarify is she does just do the graphic design. She doesn't actually like sew it and stuff. So she like generally sends people to like, there's a couple great local gear makers. Super Taunt is one of them. I'm blanking on the other lady's name right now, but
she used to wrestle back a few years back, right?
She wrestled. She wrestled years ago. And then Patricia is the other gear maker lady's name. She's done a lot of local wrestlers as well. And it's also just been really cool seeing like, people always look good at LPW, but just seeing the general level up because like all these gear makers tell you like, I want a design. They don't make the graphic design for you. They all tell you, go get me a design. So now you've got a person that gives you a design and like the layout she gives just looks so good. And it makes, she really personalizes it and makes it feel like
I'm just going to put it on this. I'm just going to put it on.
Thank
there's
you.
a setup just for Zoe. Like just
she
how
makes
she's
she makes like a
it's
cutout
professional
and stuff like that. And you're just like, this is sick. I want to just share it. Like, so she made me my Wolverine
It is
gear.
Professional graphic design to a T.
Exactly. None of this AI bullshit. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So support local. Work. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Huh. That was awesome.
Sorry, boys. I'm a little caffeinated, so I'm just like
100%.
going off gabbing today. Sorry, boys, if it's a long one.
We've had
hey, we love chatting on the show. The longer it is, the more fun we have. But with that, we've gone through everything we talked about. So I think we're gonna kind of wrap it up here. I want to thank you for coming out. Is there any shows that you do want to talk about that's upcoming? Because I know there's a show in a couple weeks that we're gonna be at. So
the big one, LPW 50. I've been a part of LPW since I think, 32, 33, 34 in there somewhere.
Around there, yeah.
I've been a part of them since then. And the fact that there's 50 shows is just a testament to Spencer Love and everyone at that company. I mean, they put in so much work. We all put in so much work, but there's a great behind the scenes off crew, the office. They put in so much work. The sponsorships we've been getting lately, the booster juice stuff, like there's so much work going into it. They grind so hard. And to be able to be having our the 50th ever show for that company this weekend, the end of this month, July 30th or 31st?
30th and 31st.
30th and 31st. Yeah. So to have the 50th show, 31st, is just crazy to think that like this has been running every month or almost every month minus a couple Decembers for 50 months. You know what I mean? It's just insane. And we're going to be putting on a special show. It's the middle of summer. I know it's the August long weekend, but we're going to make it well worth your time to come out.
It's not. It's August long weekend is the following one. It's August long weekend. Like August long weekend leads into my birthday on the 10th, so I know it's not. So.
So hell yeah! Then okay.
This is the
or maybe I'm wrong. No.
Yeah, I think you're wrong, bro. Because I'm wrestling Monday.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Oh, no, I'm thinking my day off is actually my regular day off is on my birthday, and I get a free extra day off because of the holiday. I flipped it in my head.
Your own long weekend going on. There you go.
I get two long weekends, which is going to be great.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, you're cooking with that. So yeah, I got that show coming up, and then the next day, actually, I'm wrestling for BEW in Saskatchewan against one of the men that broke me into the business. I wrestled him once ever in my career. Wrath. I am wrestling the big man Wrath, and I'm very excited for that one. I wrestled him once years and years ago. It was a TLC match. It was a 3-way TLC match. Oh, I think my headphone just died.
We can still hear you.
Okay, sweet. It was a TLC match, and it was with it was me and Kato against Massive and Wrath against I think Rich and Dalton, and Rich and Dalton won. But anyways, fast forward to now. I'm so excited to wrestle Wrath. So that's one I'd like to also give a shout out. BEW. BEW puts on some really great shows. We're wrestling August 1st, 2nd, 3rd for them all over Saskatchewan. He does these really cool campground shows where he books them like at campgrounds. So you go there and it's like jam-packed, 300-400 people. Everyone in the area is there. And they're really great shows. So I'm doing 3 of those. And yeah, that's what we got coming up now. And I don't know much after then. Just play it week by week and go from there, boys.
Absolutely.
Look up Best Entertainment Wrestling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So from there, we're gonna call it a show. Before we get AWS, where can they find you, bro?
Absolutely. You can find me on the Bluesky at awscomedy.bluesky.social. You can find me on the Instagrams where I promote a bunch of stuff, and I have been doing some drink reviews slightly a la Nate Nixon. You can find that on AWS Comedy YEG on Instagram. And if you want to watch me, my buddy Malcolm, and my buddy Andreas talk about Power Rangers, we're still smack dab in the middle of Lord Zed era. You can check that out at youtube.com/@humanoidfreak2515, the Morph-a-mania Podcast. And I want to give a couple of quick shout outs for some shows that are coming up. Some very good friends of mine kind of doing some shows at the Grindstone Theater, one of my favorite places in the city, subsidized theater space for new and emerging artists of all kinds, sketch comedy, drag, burlesque, improv, all that sort of thing. 2 shows coming up. First of all, this Sunday, July 19th at 6 p.m., it is Grindstone's annual comedy theater summer fundraiser, hosted by 2 of my very dear friends, Brooke Rose and Liam McKinnon. There's going to be a little bit of everything, a little bit of stand-up, a little bit of improv, a little bit of everything that they do, and it's all to help them raise some money to keep the lights on. phenomenal show. I've been a couple times. I've had a improv musical made about me and my friends, and that was a lot of fun. It was very fun. So please do check that out and give them some scratch if you can. Another show, brand new show, actually. It's only been done a couple times. My good friend Kamal Aladdin, stand-up comic here in Edmonton, and a very big improv guy, has been doing improv bucket shows at the Grindstone Theater, where they put a bunch of improvisers' name in a bucket. If they pull your name, you're in the scene and you do a scene, and it's a lot of fun. It's very Whose Line Is It Anyway? Scenes from a Hat. It's a phenomenal show. I do really appreciate Kamal for giving another avenue for improv people to do their reps. So I do want to shout that out there. His next show is July 22nd at 7 p.m. at the Grindstone Comedy Theater, just off of White Ave and 101st Street. And one more quick shout out, just a small thing, not related to the theater. I will be at K-Days Monday and Tuesday, checking out a couple things. Obviously, Top Talent are doing their Slam Fest there. So don't be afraid to come by and say hi. I'll be walking around the K-Days grounds. If you see my hat, you'll know it's me. Do not be afraid to come and say hi. I love chatting up with people. But that's enough for me. Andre C., where can they find you, my friend?
You can find me, Bluesky, at that Canada Guy, Instagram and Threads at that Canada Dude. You can find me over on our local establishment on YouTube and Twitch, where I do my show, Marvel Talk. That will be back next Thursday on the 23rd. We'll be chatting episodes 4, 5, and 6 of the new season of X-Men 97. We'll be chatting that. And then you can see me every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern, where myself, Bobby Munson, we just chat the world in sports and just shoot the shit about all that. But mainly, you can find me right here on BackBreaker Video, where we're doing the Pop Spot Presents and the Pop Spot Regular. We're chatting all different wrestling, but you can see so much other great wrestling content here from Mike the Rev, where you can also see him do stuff live over on Twitch with his AW Watch Alongs. And if you stay tuned after those AW Watch Alongs, you get to see all of his great E-Fed stuff for BackBreaker Pro Wrestling, featuring the Pop Spot Monsters, myself, and AWS. And AWS is currently the champion of BackBreaker Pro Wrestling.
PPW champ right here, baby.
And I'm mostly on Instagram at Nate Nixon. That's my number one posted there. That's where I put the most time. I'm on Threads at NATNXN as well. Little less active on there, but I'm on there a decent amount, more than I should be. TikTok, Nasty NXN, little less active on there, but I still post on there. YouTube, Nasty Nate Nixon. Not every full match get posted up there, but a lot of full matches get posted on there, so check me out there. Popeye Supplements, we're actually opening up a new store at the end of this month in South Common, so that's a little sneak peek for you. This is the most public platform I've told that to yet. So yes. Anyone come and see me, tell me you know me as a wrestler, you know Nasty Nate, and I'll get you a little special deal for you and discount there. So come and see us and we'll get you sorted. And come and see me at the shows and we'll get you sorted there too. Let's get nasty, boys.
Can we get a big pop for that?
Hell yeah.
Pop.
Hell yeah. Pop.
I have an empty pop bottle. So.
Yes. That brings us to the end of another phenomenal episode of Pop Spot Presents. Nate Nixon, thank you again for your time. And
thank you.
I continue to be floored every time we do one of these, because it's just so awesome to hear the stories that people have. And your story is also, as usual, one of the best.
It was a lot of fun, and you guys do a great job of making it fun. You know, I'm going to glaze you for a second here. Anytime there's a podcast, and maybe it's millennial anxiety, the half hour leading up to it, you're like, I got so much stuff I'd rather do. I got other stuff to do. But at the end of the day, I'm very blessed to have two bros that are genuinely interested in my story and asking me questions about it. So thank you guys for all you do for the wrestling scene. I don't think people thank you guys enough. People just, look at a lot of local podcast guys, wrestling marks. But I'm without wrestling marks, we don't have a business. So thank you guys for doing what you do. I genuinely mean that. Yeah, you guys are the real. I'm the real MVP, but you guys are secondaries.
Hey, we'll take that. I'll take second place. Thank you so much, Nate Nixon. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, comment, do all the fun stuff on YouTube, because we deserve it. And until next time, stay poppin'. Bye-bye.
Boom.